The Pyrenees Mountains in the summertime. These beautiful, tranquil peaks guard well the peaceful valleys below. The music of the water and the wind is interrupted but once a year, when like a giant magnet, the mountains attract the millions who come to watch cycling's great race.
After almost 1,200 miles, the challenges in the Tour de France are clear. Bernard Hinault, the great Frenchman who's trying to become the first man to win 6 times. And LeMond, friend or foe of Hinault, and desperate to become the first American winner of the world's greatest race. And out to beat them both is Laurent Fignon, twice a winner, but out last year with injury, and now he's back to prove a point. After 12 days, the Tour de France has arrived to face the highest roads in the Pyrenees, and the mountains which form a natural barrier between France and Spain are ready to reshape the Tour. The route on this 12th stage leaves Bayonne at sea level to open with the climb of the 3,700 feet Col de Berdin-Curicetta, which is as hard to say as to climb. After 2 smaller climbs, the riders move on to the Col de Marie Blanc at 3,300 feet, not so high but steeper. Finally, the descent is made from the Pyrenees this day to Po after a leg-breaking 135 miles on this, the first real test in this Tour. Like a piece of discarded string, the Berdin-Curicetta is a worthy adversary for the Angels of the Mountains. And on this first challenge, the climbers led by Hinault set a pace few will follow. Thousands of spectators have waited all day to catch a glimpse of these talented athletes who have already shed the majority of the riders by half distance. Already 10 minutes behind, the leader for 4 days, Jürgen Pedersen, is about to lose his yellow jersey. The mountains always produce the truth. Even Fignon cannot hide, and a year off with injury is too much. He too has lost the Tour on the very first climb. The double victor struggles like never before. He'll lose over 12 minutes. The man doing all of the damage, Bernard Hinault, shadowed by LeMond, is confounding his critics and setting a pace that is hurting everybody. The Badger is enjoying freedom. At the top of the Berdin-Curicetta, Hinault concedes to Robert Miller, but the first mountain of this Tour has made its selection, and Hinault is still the name.
Behind the leaders are the stories of riders who struggled not to win, but only to finish. Up to this point, 30 of the 210 original starters had dropped from the Tour, and 2 Americans would be next. Today, 2 boys from the States not only battled the mountain, but a stomach virus that left them both weak. Doug Shapiro, on the right, finished his first Tour de France last year. But now, the 27-year-old who grew up in New York was struggling in vain. Enduring the same hardship, Shapiro's teammate and friend Chris Carmichael, whose first Tour de France will end here 1,500 miles from the finish line in Paris. It's been a brave new adventure for Team 711's first Tour, carried on now by Olympic speed skating champion Eric Heiden. And also by the American who made Tour history on its 3rd day, winning a road race. Davis Finney, here recovering from a crash, fights back with the help of an unknown ally from within the crowd.
But at the front of the race, how things have changed, and Bernard Hinault has stunned everyone by attacking and going ahead with Pedro Delgado, one of Spain's greatest climbers and a marvellous ally now. Hinault has left the great climbers gasping, Miller, Claude Quillion and LeMond. Even Luis Herrera, the Colombian, who'd waited for these climbs to prove himself. How did LeMond feel now, hoping to set the pace? Again, the American is forced to follow in defense of Hinault. This great Frenchman never gives up. And off the mountain, he speeds towards Po, thinking of gaining as much time as possible on a day when the climbers should have contained him. No one expected such a bold attack here. LeMond knows now that his friend at the dinner table is a rival on the road. But even with Hinault gaining many minutes in front, LeMond contains his natural feeling to attack and plays the perfect teammate on this climb. He just keeps an eye on them and refuses to assist in the chase. The French-Spanish tandem have made an alliance. Hinault has told Delgado that he prefers to make the pace, and for Delgado to keep out of his way. This is a man trying to win the Tour, and LeMond doesn't enter in his thoughts. The American wants advice. No one could have expected Hinault would take a 5 minutes lead. These time gaps went out 20 years ago, when the Tour was won by hours, not minutes. Taking on water, LeMond has been pushed away from contender to that of a helper.
Fully 2 minutes ahead. 2 men, one from Spain, one from France. Joined by one common goal. Delgado and Hinault are stealing the day's race, and Hinault moves closer to the yellow jersey every second. The eternal snows of the Pyrenees. These are the peaks that have for decades tested the true champions in the Tour de France. Bernard Hinault nursed along in his bout with an eye infection, which has done nothing today to slow his murderous attack. Greg LeMond, when his teammate Hinault left the pack, he left us all with a question. Has Greg LeMond's unwillingness to take risks today made him just another member of the pack? And what of Fignon? The two-time champion suffering on the climbs has virtually taken him out of the day's race. It's as if Hinault had grown tired of wearing his team jersey and was focused today on yellow. His lust for the jersey ultimately launched him out of the pack. Why did LeMond not follow Hinault's early move? Did he really think the Frenchman had taken a bad risk? And would Greg's decision here end any chance he had of becoming the first American to lead the Tour de France? At the summit of the highest climb, and the crowd barely notices Delgado, for his partner today is Bernard Hinault, who races to the chants of his name. Delgado offers Hinault a drink. It's the only bit of help he has refused all day. The partnership has been a profitable one for both men, and with the Frenchman's overall time standing, if they continue their 4-minute advantage, Hinault will be in yellow.
Since 1903, the Tour de France has shaped people's lives. Pedro Delgado poses no threat to Hinault. He's already 8 minutes behind him on overall time. Riding like the wind, Hinault is producing an attack never seen since the halcyon days of Eddy Merckx, the legendary Belgian who made a habit of achieving the impossible. LeMond checks the route. The favourite going into the Tour is now way behind, but Hinault rides on the same team. Who is the real leader? Remember the scene last year when manager Copley stopped LeMond from attacking because Hinault was behind? What's Copley saying now with the roles reversed? The hardest enemy to fight is the one who never does the predictable. And Hinault was attacked on the first day in the Pyrenees when the hardest days lie ahead. He knew no one would want to race this soon. The only loser today could be LeMond. This year, LeMond has a new teammate who speaks the same language. American Andy Hampson is a useful confidant. In the crowded streets of Po, Hinault plays to his people. How could you expect this man to even think of giving the race to an American on foreign soil? 2 miles behind, LeMond, sick inside from what seems like a double cross, is paced by Hampson and followed by Zimmermann, the Swiss champion. On this extraordinary day, Hinault is literally miles ahead, pulled by the magnet of success. And as Miller and Herrera struggle on the final small climb, they must wonder what is left for them in this race now. But LeMond can wait no longer, and with the show of aggression the French say he doesn't have, the American, driven by anger, fights back.
At the finish, and watch Hinault in second place, who makes it obvious that he's giving Delgado the win. A personal thank you for the man who has helped Hinault into the yellow jersey. Delgado's breakaway now seen as brilliant, and Hinault's decision to join him even more so. Bernard Hinault had rolled the dice, and the risk had paid off. The decision not to join him was a costly one for the American. Greg LeMond, riding with Colombian Luis Herrera, waited too long to lift his tempo. And through the streets of Pau, LeMond's dreams of a Tour victory continued to evaporate. This is a man very familiar, very comfortable with the yellow jersey. Hinault has said he will retire after this year's race. His charge now is to hang on to the jersey through the rest of the Pyrenees and then the Alps. And still on the course, LeMond leads Herrera to the finish, 4.5 minutes behind Hinault. The Frenchman is not only in the yellow jersey, he's 5.5 minutes better than LeMond overall. The La Viclaire rider, who told the press that this year he would sacrifice himself for his American teammate, has shown LeMond and the world that when it comes to the Tour de France, winning is everything.
Think you still have your own chance? Not sure. Who knows?
The standings with 1,400 miles remaining, Laurent Fignon is out of contention. LeMond may be just as bad off, 5:25 back, and with some regrets.
You know, if I want to be frank, I probably should have never come on La Viclaire because I feel I'm too close to Bernard Hinault, too close to his strength, that I end up always having to take the second position, and it's my fault. You know, I mean, I probably should have stuck with the System U or some other team. That's all I can say.
Is the Tour over, do you think?
No, I don't think so, because, you know, I have to say honestly that I'm going to take my own chance someday when I feel really good.
Frenchman Laurent Fignon, a third win is certainly out of the question now. The race and the country today belongs to another Frenchman. Would Greg LeMond be better off if he never stopped walking? Time will tell, and the decision will come here.
And in just a few moments, we'll return to John Tesh for the conclusion of that crucial race in the Pyrenees.
Channel 21, WHP TV.